1-800-636-1067. You can tweet at me as well. It's at NELL_BTP. From your vantage point, which side of the football is more likely to hit the ground running on Sunday? This Commander's offense or this Commander's defense? For me, it's the defense because I simply don't believe that the offense has enough time on task together throughout the course of this offseason. Not enough Terry in camp, not enough Noah Brown in camp. The starting offensive line played a handful of practices together. Jayden Daniels threw 0 passes throughout the course of the preseason, and you only had 1 joint practice. So, to me, I think the defense is going to hit the ground running, or is more likely to hit the ground running. Because each and every day out there at practice, that secondary was the same. Having continuity, things of that nature. Seriously. Same secondary, same defensive front, same front seven. They were able to build and add layers to this each and every day out at practice. I think the offense, rightfully so, may just be a little bit behind the 8 ball. And guess what? That is okay. 1-800-636-1067 is the number. Which side of the football for the Washington Commanders do you think is more likely to hit the ground running on Sunday, this offense or this defense? Pablo is in Arnold, Maryland, wanting to chime in. What's going on, Pablo?
What's up, dog? Hey, man, I think it's going to be the offense. I think that a lot of people are sleeping on our run game. I think a lot of people think we got this offensive line built to protect Jayden, which we did, but I think you're going to see him run the ball. I definitely think between Rodriguez, Eckler, Debo, Bill, and even Jayden's running skills, I think he's going to run the ball, then he's going to get the defense to have to commit to the run, and then it's going to open up things downfield. I also see Zach Ertz having decent games all throughout the season.
For sure. And look, your Zach Ertz point, I'm telling you, brother, I think someone just threw it in the YouTube chat saying on Bet365, his over-under for Sunday is set at 31.5. I am just not sure that if I'm thinking about putting a month's worth of rent on it. I'll give away my state secret. There's just no way. He is going to get a lot of targets. And I think whether that's, and I appreciate the call, I think whether that's red zone, third down, whatever, I think he is going to get a lot of targets. 110%. 110%. He's going to be a big part of this offense. That's why I've said it all off season long. I think Terry McLaurin is so important to what they want to accomplish offensively. Zach Ertz can't be the best version of Zach Ertz. Debo can't be the best version of Debo, so on and so forth, if they don't have a guy in McLaurin that can continuously stress defenses vertically. Question is this, though, at 1-800-636-1067. Which side of the football is more likely to hit the ground running on Sunday, the offense or the defense? Let's go to Coach Turner out in Hollywood. What's going on, Coach?
Hey, how's it going, Lynnell?
What's going on, brother, man?
Thank you for taking my call, bro.
For sure, man, for sure.
All right. I'm of the mindset that both the offense and the defense is going to surprise us both. All right, listen, that defensive backfield with the safeties and the addition of the rookie cornerback with Lattimore, I think they, along with linebacker play, are going to be good. So I'm agreeing with you that defense is going to work. But what a lot of people are not talking about is that 1-2 punch with Eckler and Debo. They will clear up McLaurin and whoever else is on that side, Brown or whoever. But that offense with Jayden could be the most explosive thing in the NFL.
I totally agree, man. And I think every conversation that we have about this football team, every question mark that we have, and, Coach, you know this, when you've got an eraser at the quarterback position is what I call him, Coach, because he erases all of your blemishes, all of your flaws, all your mistakes. He's like a good cover-up. You know what I'm talking about? So I totally agree with you. I think we often underscore just how impactful he was last year and what type of impact he can have here in his sophomore season now that he's a year older, seen a year's worth of NFL defense, has gotten bigger, faster, stronger. I think Coach hit it right on the head, man. 1-800-636-1067 is the number. I want to touch on this as well. To me, man, this Washington Commanders football team, one thing we've continued to hear all offseason is Well, are they going to think their you-know-what don't stink? Are they going to start smelling themselves? Are they going to start drinking their own Kool-Aid? Are they going to start reading their own press clippings? I have zero concern about the Washington Commanders falling victim to their own success. Not a doubt in my mind that it won't happen. I don't think this group is made up of cats like that. When you've got a Zach Ertz and a Von Miller and a Bobby Wagner and a Laramie Tunsil, guys that know how to prepare, guys that have been at the top of the sport, complacency is not a thing that's going to exist and live over in Ashburn. I don't believe it. Because guess what? I can say it, and you all will get upset with me. They'll hear me say it, talking about the Commanders, players, coaches, and they'll dap me up. Last year, while it was literally the most fun season I've ever had watching football, it doesn't matter at all. And guess what? They know it. Jaden Daniels knows it. Zach Ertz knows it. Dan Quinn knows it. Joe Witt Jr. knows it. Deron Payne knows it. Last year was fun. Means nothing. Means nothing. You've got to go out and earn it. Not only each and every week, but each and every season. Point blank. The Giants are eager, chomping at the bit to try and take a bite out of Washington's ass. And that's going to be the mentality every week. When you go to Lambeau in week 2, Green Bay's going to look at you like, Washington, you think you're better than us. You're the flavor of the week. Everyone's talking about you. Why not us? You have to get ready for that mentality each and every week. And I think when you've got a Bobby Wagner, when you've got an Austin Eckler, when you've got a Zach Ertz, guys that have been to the top of the mountain, falling victim to complacency, I think they're above it. 1-800-636-1067. Speaking of the Giants, and the best way that I could put it is this. They want to take a bite out of the Commander's ass. Point blank. Point blank. What's the old Cremeto Chris? We got to find this during the break. The John Witherspoon line from Friday, when he's talking about being a dog catcher, right? Being a dog catcher is a dangerous game, right? Because each and every day you got to go out there and make sure that you don't get bit in the ass. And as a contending football team, you got to go out there each week and make sure that you're on your P's and Q's and don't get bit in the ass. Honestly. Dan Quinn stopped somebody right in their tracks earlier this offseason. They talked about, they began to ask him the question of, well, how are you guys going to deal with being the hunted? And he cut him off. He said, no, we're always the hunter. It's a damn mentality. It's a mindset. Ray Lewis, NFL Films, when he was wired up for sound, had one of my favorite lines of all time. It's a man's game. I don't mean that to be sexist. I don't mean that to slight anyone. It is a man's game. You got to be a wild you-know-what. You got to have some loose screws up top to lace it up each and every week and run down on special teams on kickoff and try to knock somebody's wig off. It's a different type of cat. You got to be wired a little bit differently. And I think this group, and the best way that I can put it, they're full of thoroughbreds. This group ain't got a soft bone in their body. And I know that the fancy slogans last year, when they started off 0-1 against Tampa, people try to throw it back in their face. I tell you what, they live it. Anybody, anywhere, anytime. Point blank, period. They live by that. They didn't give a rat's ass when they were going into Detroit last year. Whole world against them. Nobody gave them a shot. They beat the tar out of the Lions because they have that right balance of old veteran leadership and then that young, I don't give a damn mentality. We don't know no better, so we're going to go lay it all out on the line. They're going to have a shot each and every week because of that mentality, which is why, to me, the idea of them getting off to a slow start or falling victim to their own success, I don't think it's a real thing. 1-800-636-1067 is the number. You tweet at me as well. It's at NELL_BTP. We'll take a quick time out. When we come back, top of the 8 o'clock hour, we'll put two Commanders rookies under the microscope next. This is The Fan. 1-800-636-1067 is the number. You can tweet at me as well. It's at NELL_BTP. Tapped into the youngest in charge, Lynnell Willingham. Taking you up to 10 o'clock tonight. Coming up in about 25 minutes, a pal Chris Russell going to join the program as we'll get his thoughts. We'll get the thoughts of a real New Yorker. Some folks bring on New York Giant insiders to preview Commanders and Giants. I bring on the most knowledgeable Giants fan I know. That is one Christopher Russo. He joins us coming up at 8:30. You can catch the Chris Russell Show weekdays 1 to 4 on our sister station, the Team 980. Right now, I want to put a couple of rookies under the microscope. But before we do that, let's get to Jay in Ashburn. This was a couple of years ago. Hell, 10 years ago, I guess. I would wonder, is this Jay Gruden in Ashburn? Hello, Jay.
No. No, it's not Jay Gruden. No, I'm employed. But anyway.
Hey, that's what I want to hear.
Coming in with a zinger.
There we go. What do you got for us, Jay? That's how you get the party started.
So, I mean, I'm listening to you talking about the Giants chomping at the bit, and I got to tell you, I am scared for this weekend.
Uh-oh.
You know, the Giants' big weakness on defense is the run game, and we just traded away our starting running back. I mean, Austin Eckler is good, but he's a third down back kind of guy now, and I mean, the pass rush that the Giants have, I think it's going to be a sloppy, low-scoring game, and this is also the first time this year or this season that we've seen Terry McLaurin wear pads. So, and the history of people who hold in or hold out, injury history is not very kind. So, I tell you, I am extraordinarily scared for this weekend. I'm bracing myself.
Hey, look, I totally agree with you, brother. And look, to say that you're scared, I don't think you're scared. I just think we all are dealing with the reality of, hey, this team has expectations. And like I've been saying all show, if you've been listening, man, they have treated the month of September like it's August. When you do that, you got to be able to deal with the consequences of that, good and bad. I appreciate the call as always, Jay, man.
But
go ahead.
4 years ago, I didn't care who I played in the first week because I expected us to stink.
Yeah.
But now, you know, that I don't want my thoughts of, you know, NFC Championship game and improvement in the season to be dashed in the first week playing the team that everybody predicts is going to have 5 wins.
Jay, go back on the Odyssey app. You listen to the opening salvo, brother. Week one doesn't matter, brother. Week 2 doesn't matter. This team, I mean, they showed you how they feel about the month of September. And by the way, Jay, you know this. You're a football fan. They're not the only team in the National Football League that is basically bypassing the preseason and treating it like, you know, some back of the roster evaluation tool. And to me, when you treat, I keep saying it, put on a T-shirt, Jay. When you treat September like August, you got to be willing to deal with the consequences. They got to come out of the month of September with a 2-2 record or better. If not, then you may be in a world of hurt because there is no Titans this year on your schedule. There is no Panthers. There are no Browns, so on and so forth. So it's going to be interesting to see how it ultimately works itself out. Jay, I appreciate you as always. You're one-liner, brother. That's how you got 3 minutes on the phone with the youngest in charge, Jay. Appreciate the call as always, man. 1-800-636-1067 is the number. You can tweet at me as well. Same handle on every social media platform. It is at NELL_BTP. What we're talking about right now is this, if you want to chime in. Which side of the football is more likely to hit the ground running on Sunday? Is it this Washington Commanders offense or is it this Washington Commanders defense? Let's go to Dez out in Marlow. Wants to chime in. What's up, Dez?
What's up, man? Hey, look. Last caller. Just off, man. He talking about he's scared. He got to get that scary stuff out of here.
Get it out of here. Hey, look, tell him, Dez. Tell him, Dez, if you're scared, go to church,
we got to
Jay.
get it out of here because we ain't that team no more. And that's what I be trying to tell people. Y'all got to start relating us to them older teams. The main thing I want to say, look, that offense going to be going crazy, man. I expect the defense to be shutting stuff down, you know what I'm saying, because people don't really realize the upgrades that we made. They still be thinking that we got Emmanuel Forbes and BSJ over there playing cornerback. No, that's not the case. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to the offense, I've been coining since last year. Lynnell, you can take it because I love you, man. You can take it if you want to.
Give it to me.
Dan Orlovsky kind of alluded to it a little bit, but he didn't really say it. I call our offense all huddle. No huddle, all hustle. You know
no huddle, all hustle. Okay.
No huddle, all hustle offense, man. And like Dan Orlovsky was saying, he said it a couple weeks ago on First Take. we got the opportunity to not have one of the best offenses in the league, but to have a brand new offense that the league has possibly really never seen before. Because the way that we stack our offense and the way that we have our team, at any given time, we can have 6 people that can run the ball and 10 people that could possibly catch it. When it comes to having a 2 to 3, you know what I'm saying, tight end set, 4 wide receivers, you know what I'm saying?
They can do it all. Hey, Des, this is what I called it last year, brother. Exotic smash mouth football. Everybody know about a little bit of za.
Yeah, I heard.
Des, I'm calling it exotic smash mouth football,
right
brother.
there,
come on, brother.
That's what we about to be going crazy. I ain't worried about nothing against
So look, Des, Friday on the Burgundy and Gold today, 4 to 7 every day on the Team 980. I've been giving out burgundy and bold predictions for the season. This past Friday, I said the Washington offense is going to win the Triple Crown, lead the league in points per game, lead the league in yards per game, and then lead the league in time of possession. I think Dan Orlovsky, as well as you, my brother, right on point when it comes to just how explosive this offense can be. Des, I appreciate you. As always, my brother.
Time of possession, we're going to blow that away.
Come on, man. You saw it last year. What was it, 16, 17 plate drives, man? That's how you get her done. 1-800-636-1067 is the number. You can tweet at me as well. It is at NELL_BTP. I want to put a couple of rookies under the microscope here for the Washington Commanders. But before we do that, remember how I was talking about Washington is now the hunted. And I know Dan Quinn's going to lose his wig over that. But the reality is people are now getting up to play the Washington Commanders. And it was not like that, has not been like that throughout the course of my lifetime. People used to look at Washington, let's start preparing for next week's game, right? Looking at Washington as a bye week. Not anymore. Not anymore. But that narrative has changed so much that I think you're going to get everyone's best shot each and every week, including this Sunday against the New York Giants. Here is Giants defensive back Drew Phillips talking earlier this afternoon about what he is expecting to see Sunday against Washington.
Is it an attention grabber, Drew, when you start the season with the team that was in the NFC Championship game last year? Obviously, the NFL could have given you anybody week 1, but in terms of you'll know exactly where you measure up right after game 1, is that a attention grabber for you guys? You're playing one of the best from the start?
I mean, yeah, we wouldn't want it any other way, especially after the year they had last year, and then we coming in with a new team as well, so you're going to find out real fast, but, we're excited. We wouldn't want any other competition, especially a division rival.
Straight up. They itching for it. Geeking to play Washington. But look, and as fans, look, I say it all the time, right? I'm just as big of a fan as you guys are. Don't ever misconstrue that. I'm just like y'all. I just, Jay hit it on the head, and me and Dez kind of got on him. Talking about if you're scared, go to church. I feel you, though, Jay. And Dez, you feel him, too. We're just not used to this. And Dez hit it right on the head. This is different, y'all. This is not your commanders of the past. This is not your commanders of the 2010s and the early 2020s. This is a different group. There are realistic expectations. I remember a segment on First Take after Washington, limped their way into the NFC East title in 2020. And then they signed Ryan Fitzpatrick. They brought in Curtis Samuel, and Dan Orlovsky got on national TV. Mike Greenberg got on national TV and was talking about, well, can the Commanders go to the conference championship? Psh, I rolled the hell out of my eyes. It frustrated me. Now when folks talk about us going places, conference championship, Super Bowl, so on and so forth, I could actually get behind it. I know they're not just capping. This is real. There's momentum behind this thing. And they earned that. But as I said earlier in the show, what they did last year, and this isn't to be a smart ass, this isn't to try to be funny, what they did last year doesn't matter. And what I love about this group is they know that it doesn't matter. They get it. And I keep harping on it, man. Say what you want about them being the oldest team in the NFL, care less, right? When you get older, you get more experienced. You know what I'm saying? Zach Ertz, Bobby Wagner, Von Miller, Laramie Tunsil, Marshawn Lattimore, guys that have been at the top of their game in this sport, all in one building, showing the youngest how to prepare, showing the youngest how to get to it. My favorite story from last year in terms of that example of just how impactful veteran leadership could be. I think it was after the Cardinals game. They come home. It's like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when they get to Dulles. And Bobby and Jaden go to the facility, hop in the tub. So, watching tape, breaking it down already. That's what an OG is going to do. That's gold jacket habits. That's gold jacket mentality. And the fact that they got a bunch of those dudes walking around, that's how you build a culture, baby. 1-800-636-1067 is the number. Clearly, I'm ready for Sunday, 1 o'clock. Speaking of Sunday, want to take the chance to let you all know what we'll have for you coming up on Sunday. Countdown to kickoff with Earl Forsey gets underway at 9 a.m. Myself and Denton Day riding with you 11 to 1 p.m. As we get you geared up for kickoff. Then during halftime, we're live on YouTube, X, Twitch, as well as TikTok, giving you our analysis of halftime. And then immediately following the final whistle, right at the final whistle, we're live for some post-game reaction as well, live on YouTube, X, Twitch. You get to see our handsome faces each and every game day here on 106.7 The Fan. 1-800-636-1067 is the number. We'll take a quick timeout. When we come back, we'll chew on what we were supposed to touch on this segment. Which Commanders rookie do you have more confidence in week one? Trey Amos or Josh Connolly? We'll get to that next. 1-800-636-1067 is the number. You can tweet at me as well. It is at NELL_BTP. You're tapped in. The youngest in Charles and Willingham. I'll take you up to 10 o'clock tonight here on this Wednesday night edition of Overtime. It is a game week for the Washington Commanders. They were back out on the practice field this afternoon for the first time this week. Gave you an injury report to start the show. Zach Ertz, DNP for veteran rest reasons. And like I said earlier, I don't care if he doesn't practice on Wednesday for the entirety of the season. Doesn't matter to me. Definitely trust their process in terms of getting guys ready. And I think with Zach Ertz, he showed you last year that process damn sure worked. But, yeah, love what they're doing for the veterans. In terms of DNPs, he was the only one. Limited was Dorrance Armstrong with a knee. Also limited was Jonathan Jones with a hamstring. And that was it. That was it, man. Like Dorrance Armstrong had a knee as well. So not too worried about that. We'll see tomorrow if those guys continue to be on the injury report. Kind of expected Noah Brown to be there because he hadn't practiced at all throughout training camp. Like, bottom line. The Dorrance Armstrong knee is kind of new. Don't remember him missing any time during camp. But it could just be preventative maintenance and something else where they're just trying to ease a guy along and make sure he's good to go, ready to go 110% coming up on Sunday. But I just feel like, and this is cool for me too. I'll be selfish here for a second. This is cool for me too because, like, it just feels different. It just feels different. And you all know what I mean by that. Even talking about the team. I'm walking around, and this is how you know it's fall. One, is getting cool. It was cold as hell this morning when I went outside. But you're seeing the gear. You're seeing, as Danny Rie calls them, the taco holders all over people's T-shirts and things of that nature. I'm seeing old Redskins gear, right? I'm seeing Washington football team jerseys. You're seeing it all, man. There is a civic pride, I guess, that this community has right now. Talk about the DMV region and then points beyond the DMV as well. People are behind this team in a way that I've never seen before. And I'm just happy to be able to talk about it, happy to be able to be a part of it. But when we talk about the X's and O's of this thing, Sunday is for real. Live bullets, flying for real. Go time, right? Crap or get off of the pot. Put up or shut up, however you want to call it. There are two rookies that I'm going to have under the microscope on Sunday, and they've got two really tall tasks, if we're being honest about what their debut is going to encounter here, what they're going to encounter here in their debut. Which Commanders rookie are you more confident in heading into the season opener? Their first-round pick, Josh Connerly Jr., the offensive tackle out of Oregon. Their second-round pick, Trey Amos, their corner out of Ole Miss. For me, I think both of these guys, by the way, are going to ultimately be impact guys for Washington by season's end. But think about it like this, man, if we're just being open, honest, and objective here. If you are Josh Connerly, first of all, you've been getting prepped all offseason long, going up against Von Miller, Dorrance Armstrong, Oos, the whole cast of characters. Your first career game is going to be against Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, right? Brian Burns. It ain't an easy hill to climb, is how I would expect, is how I would describe it, rather. Right? For Trey Amos, right? You go from going up against Chris Moore in practice to going up against Malik Neighbors coming up in week one. So, like, both of those two dudes, they're not getting eased into the National Football League. Not at all. They're not getting eased into the NFL at all. But I'll say this. I think both of those cats have the mental makeup to be elite guys in this league. And I know I've caught in a lot of shrapnel online because 4 days into camp, it was the fourth day of camp, and I said, well, yeah, Josh Connerly's been a little underwhelming. If you look throughout the entirety of camp, he, to me, is the most improved Commander from day one to now. On the flip side, for Trey Amos, in the spring, brothers. I ain't gonna lie, brothers and sisters. In the spring, you realize that, okay, Washington might have a dude. And the way he participated and played in the joint practice in the preseason game against New England was like, okay, checking another box. I was kind of disappointed that he didn't get to play against Jamar Chase and T. Higgins on Monday Night Football in the preseason, but can't cry over spilt milk. I trust Josh Connolly more in week one because I think he is going to get more help schematically. Here is what I mean by that. Cliff Kingsbury, brother man, I love you. First team All-Aura. Laramie Tunsil, I love you, brother. Good dude. Got a chance to chop it up with him a couple days after practice. Good dude. I'm telling Laramie straight up. I may have told him Monday during the walkthrough, come here, big fella. Come take a knee. You're not getting a lick of help on Sunday. We're not leaving a tight end in. We're not chipping with the back. We're not chipping with the wide receiver. Go show why you are the best tackle in the National Football League. Go show it. And I think he will. I think he'll pass that test with flying colors. On the flip side, for Josh Connolly Jr., I'm leaving a back end at times. I'm leaving a tight end in at times. I'm chipping with the wide out. You do not put your rookie tackle on an island in week one for 60 or 70 snaps against Thibodeau, Burns, and Abdul Carter. You just don't do that. You help him out. Now, how much help is he going to ultimately need? I'd overhelp him instead. I'd rather overhelp Josh Connolly, right, than underhelp Josh Connolly. And just because you need help don't mean it ain't no slight to you. You're going up against all pros in a dude that's probably the front runner for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Ain't no shame in that at all is the best way that I will put that. Ain't no shame in that at all. But the reality of the situation is this when it comes to Sunday, talking Amos versus Connolly. Trey Amos is going to be, if I was Washington, and I know there's no chance in hell that they do this, but if I was Washington, I'd travel Trey Amos with Malik Neighbors. I think he's that good. I genuinely believe that. In my heart of hearts, I believe that. Now, obviously, you have to massage some egos with Marshawn Lattimore, Southeast Sean, as I like to call him, and Mikey Samer still, because they're going to want to travel with the number one. It's a dog eat dog world. They want to bite. But all training camp long, Trey Amos was at the left corner. Lattimore was at the right corner. I think Trey Amos probably ain't going to get a whole lot of help. And he's going to have to go up against Malik Neighbors a lot. Tough task. Because schematically, you can't really help him. 1-800-636-1067 is the number. We're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, we'll go out to the guest hotline for the first time this show. We'll find out about Chris Russell, host of the Chris Russell Show, which you can hear weekdays 1 to 4 on the Team 980. He joins us next. unfortunately. There's only one egotistical maniac that has to come into his own branded theme music. It is the man they call Christopher Russell, the host of the Chris Russell Show, weekdays 1 to 4, over on our sister station, the Team 980. How are you, Chris? Are you you getting a sweat in, pal?
Yeah, I was highly entertained at the gym listening to your new T-shirt slogan. Wondering if I had to wrap that baby on the front of the chest under your belly button and then wrap it around the back above the numbers, below the numbers. I was just wondering, how many words are we going to use on this year's T-shirt slogan? I just want to know.
Well, here's the thing. I don't like to give away state secrets here on the program. But if we have to do a little radio insider, you pick up what I was putting down, right? And I think me and you were talking about this a little bit earlier, and I thought, damn, what a hell of a thought from that caged animal, Chris Russell. The way that they treated the way that they treated the preseason, the way that they look like they're about to treat the month of September, you got to be able to deal with the consequences of treating September like August. And I think by and large they will be able to because of the quarterback, but it isn't going to be sexy. I don't expect them to earn a lot of style points, but as we talked about earlier, if you come out of September no worse than 2-2, I think you'll live with it and you're ready to go.
Yeah, right there with you, obviously. And you're right. We did have this discussion earlier before your show while I was sitting in traffic. So this feels like, repeat, but nobody else besides us were listening. But the point being is, listen, if you come out 2-2, like you said, short week, Green Bay, tough game this Sunday to open up the year, even though it's at home, even though the Giants only won 3 games last year, don't believe the hype. It's a tough game. I'm not saying that they won't win. It's a tough game. And then home for the Raiders with a little extra time to prepare, rest, what have you. So, okay, that should be. But then a tough road game in Atlanta, who I expect to be improved. We already know how dangerous they can be on offense with some of the skill makers or skill players. Well, Penix should be better than the last time we saw him in late December, 1. 2, I know their pass rush should be better. So if you get out of this first month 2-2, if you play again September like you normally would treat August, and, look, Bill Belichick used to do this in New England when Tom Brady got up there in age, right? Tom Brady would occasionally play in the preseason. Sometimes he would play more than occasionally because he felt he needed the work. I remember one time there was like 43 throws in a preseason game for Tom freaking Brady, right? But Belichick would always tell people around the league, and it got back to me from a close friend of his, that he viewed September as the old August. And I asked, what do you mean by that? And he said, well, here's the deal. And then it was a 16-game season. He goes, you break down the season in quarters, right? And the first 3 or 4 games you treat essentially as what the preseason used to be, which was at that point 4 games in August. And you play your guys, and you play them more than you do in August, but you don't run through a brick wall trying to burn yourself out to get off to that hot start. Get off to a 2-2 start. Even if you're 1-3, if you've got a championship pedigree, you can recover.
Honestly. And I feel like, to me, when you have, 1, the expectations that this team has, and then 2, the oldest roster in the NFL, I actually think it makes sense the way that they treated camp, preseason, etc. I do feel like the lack of work against another team is going to influence the way that you start. And what I mean by that is that Ravens joint practice that got canceled kind of swept over it. It felt like a nothing burger because we were so submerged in the Terry McLaurin stuff. That's a big deal to me because think about last year. It took this group the better part of 6 quarters to really find their footing. The first game against Tampa, all 3 phases were yucky. Right? Missed tackles on defense, not good kick coverage. Offensively, you were stuck in the mud, banana in the tailpipe for most of it. And then that first half against New York, you struggled offensively. Tyrone Tracy was getting 4 and 5 yards a pop. But then in that second half, it felt like everything came together. And then obviously week 3 against Cincy was the coming out party. Here's the thing that I keep saying as well, Chris, is why, in terms of why it's so important for this group to get off to a good start. And look, I've been saying it throughout the show if you've been listening. I think they're going to get off to a slow start, but that doesn't mean that they're going to get off to a slow start in the win column. I just don't think we're going to be overly thrilled with how they look, and that's okay because of the reasons we just mentioned. But there is no Tennessee. There is no New Orleans. There is no Cleveland. There is no Carolina on the schedule. You have to get the Giants on Sunday. And look, we know it. There's no such thing as a must-win in week one, but boy, does it feel like you suck some of the air out of the balloon if you get off to an 0-1 start.
Well, because, if you look at, and if you lose Sunday, I mean, the likelihood that you're going to win in Green Bay on a short week against a much better team that's now added Micah Parsons and already was a playoff team and therefore a playoff or championship contender coming in before Micah Parsons on the road at Lambeau Thursday night, short week, all the travel, this, that, and the other thing. The likelihood that you win that game is not very likely, right? Not impossible, but not very likely. So you might be looking at a 0-2 start. Now, you said, why it's so important to get off to a fast start. I think fast start, again, how we define it is 1-0, right? Like, if anybody's expecting 2-0, you're expecting the wrong thing. If you get 2-0, that's great. That's awesome. Expect 1-1, and hopefully they can, play reasonably well so there isn't a lot of alarm, so that there isn't a lot of concern, that there isn't a lot to fix. There's just fine-tuning to fix. And one of the areas that I don't know about you, I'm concerned about right away on Sunday, I think one of your callers mentioned it, but I've mentioned it on my show a couple of times this week already, is special teams. I'm worried about Matt Gay. He's been inconsistent in camp. He's been inconsistent in the preseason games. We know he struggled from distance last year and in his time in Indianapolis, right? I don't expect him to make a 60-yard kick, but I need you to make a 50-yard kick. I need you to make all 35-yard kicks. I need you to make 42-yard kicks. I need you to be as reasonably close to perfect as you can. One thing I know that bugged you during the preseason, short kickoffs, right? And obviously we have, part of that is by design under the new rules to get guys or to get, because they're trying to encourage returns, right? So you're trying to almost pooch or direct it or angle it or what have you. Well, some of that led to poor coverage, which led to the 100-yard Travion Henderson return, the 62-yard Antonio Gibson return. There was another return that bugged me. I can't remember if Cincinnati and Baltimore, whatever the case might be. My point is, please don't lose Sunday's game. However you lose it, if you lose it, don't lose it on special teams, because that will bother me more than it will bother probably most people, because I know that is controllable and I know that is fixable, and I know that's also kind of a worry spot for this administration, because otherwise they wouldn't have gone out and gotten Matt Gay. And if that comes back and blows up in their face, then what do you do at that point? You've tried everything and you still haven't found the answer.
I think that is well put. They have left no stone unturned in terms of trying to find, this team's long-term place kicker.
Yeah.
I think the bigger reason, to use the Dan Quinn phrase, Russell, excuse my French, it's after 8 o'clock. The thing that will chap Dan Quinn's ass is if they do not cover kicks well. Because it was such a prideful thing for them last year. And remember we talked to Jeremy Chin about this. The fact that we had starters playing on that opening kickoff unit, it sets the tone when you come out. Look, I was saying it earlier, Chris, it takes a special type of crazy to get juiced up, to run down the field 100 miles an hour just to run into somebody and set the tone. Like, they had one of the best kick coverage units in the NFL last year. I think they led the NFL in terms of, kickoffs that were fielded, and that was on purpose. And if that all of a sudden goes from being a strength and something that really propels them to a problem spot, I think it could have a trickle-down effect on the defense too.
No doubt, because it puts the defense in worse field position, obviously. Now, again, you got to be careful, right? Because you can't just pooch it into the end zone. You can't, because the touchback is going to cost you what? The touchback is, help me out here, 35, right? If I'm not mistaken, under the new rules, I think it's 35. Is that right? or maybe it's the 30. I can't remember.
Yeah.
They've changed the rules so many damn times. Whatever it is, you don't want to put a defense that already has some question marks about whether it can stop the run in a disadvantaged position based on where a team starts its possession. So, yes, that is all tied together. I hope it will get better now that everybody is playing. Remember, we when it was a problem in August, not everybody was playing. So you have, a trickle-down effect. So I'm hoping that it is a lot better than what we saw in August. And, again, Matt Gay cannot miss extra points. He cannot miss, easy or relatively easy to make field goal attempts, so on and so forth. Now, we talked a lot about special teams. Now, I mentioned this to you earlier, and you've been talking about run defense for the last year and a half, right? You were absolutely right. They couldn't set an edge. They couldn't stop the run. They give up 6-7 yards on first down. If they're going to get off to a good start and stop the run and be better at stopping the run, this is the game you got to do it because. No disrespect to Tyrone Tracy. I mean, I know he averaged 4.4 carry, but he's not an explosive, dynamic back that, oh, by the way, you're going to start to see, maybe not exactly in week 2, but you're going to see a workhorse in Jacobs, granted on a short week, so you're going to see a little bit that, and then you're going to see Ashton Genty and Bijan Robinson back-to-back weeks. You better stop the run this week, and you better force Russell Wilson and that Giant offensive line into 2nd and 9, 3rd and 8.
Dude,
that type of thing. You better stop the run against this Giant team.
If you can't, it's going to be a long afternoon, man.
Yeah.
First and second down is going to determine how this football game goes. You mentioned Tyrone Tracy. I also, Chris, you smelled that. You're our Giants insider too, so I know you're probably already privy to what I'm about to say, my friend.
Yes.
They've had a certain college star, Chris Russell, in bubble wrap all training camp. Now, I've done some digging into it. Dude, that's the other guy that's like, all right now, because look, Tracy could be the guy in that first half that gets you and annoys you with his 3-yard carry that gets you in the 3rd and 4 instead of 3rd and 7. But it's Scatterboo in the second half to me in a game in which you're probably going to be sucking a little bit of wind because a lot of these guys just haven't played a lot. That's what I worry about. Is Cam Scatterboo going to turn it back?
I didn't mention that with you, but I did mention that, earlier today, and I'm with you, and maybe I should give him even more credit than I'm giving him. But you're right, that one, and I'm not saying by any means that it's going to be easy.
Yeah.
I'm saying you better do it this week or you're not going to do it for a month. Because it's hard to see them bottling up and shutting down Jacobs, Ashton Genty, and Bijan Robinson in back-to-back-to-back weeks. However you want to do it, it's just hard to see, right? So to me, again, for week 1, I really want to see, and think about it, right? They've been carrying around this anvil, this piano, if you will, on the back all off season. The coaches know it. GM Adam Peters knows it. The new defensive line guys know it. Teron Payne knows it. Dorrance Armstrong, I almost called him Trace Armstrong. Former defensive end and former agent. But you get my point, is they all know it, right? And if you start getting bludgeoned 5-6 yards on first down regularly on Sunday to Tracy and or Scatabo, that's not a good sign, obviously, because that means that, hey, you've changed things, but you haven't changed the result.
Yeah.
You can change things in this league, but if you don't change the result, what did you change?
Point blank. Can we put you on the spot here as we politely say goodbye here so I don't blow the clock out?
Yes.
Your prediction for Sunday, Chris Russell?
Well,
you know what? In 45 seconds or less, too, pal.
All right. Okay. So here's the deal. Because I'm a Giant insider, as you know, an industry plant, I'm going to pick the Giants to cover the 6.5.
Okay.
I'm going to pick the Commanders to win by a field goal.
Ooh.
I'm going to say, I'll call it 20-17. Because I, like you, think the offense is going to be out of timing, out of rhythm a little bit. But I think defensively, they will show up on Sunday and create a big takeaway in a big spot against Russell Wilson or a fumble. Tyrone Tracy had 5 fumbles last year, lost 2. So that's something to look out for. I think they'll show up just enough, win a tight one. Giants cover, Washington wins, and everybody can breathe for a couple of days.
There we have it. No style points in Chris Russell's prediction, but that's okay. You can check him out weekdays 1 to 4 on our sister station, the Team 980. Chris, we appreciate you as always.
My guy. No. See ya.
That is the Rooster. Make sure you check out the Chris Russell podcast wherever you download your podcast as well to give our guy a listen. We'll take a quick time out. When we come back, we have talked a lot about expectations this offseason and what folks are expecting from these Commanders. We'll take a look at some power rankings ahead of week 1 next. This is The Fan. One 1-800-636-1067 is the number. Because I am a thoroughbred, the way that I call the Commanders a thoroughbred, I am going to get to my guy Elijah in D.C. right off of the rip here. Elijah, what's going on, brother? What's happening, Elijah? How you doing, brother?
Yo, Lynnell, what's up, bro?
What's
Appreciate
going
you taking
on,
my
man?
call,
For
man.
sure.
I'm just calling, and because I just want to, hopefully calm the waters for certain people in the fan base who just don't know who's on their line. If you remember in college,
yeah.
Main man Connolly on 35 pass blocking attempts, he gave up like zero pressure.
Talk about it
against Abdul Carter. Now I just been kind of researching on my own. You talking about having a center who can set a line, because everybody's saying the offense may be coming out slow. I'm like, wait a second here. You talk about having a center who can set your line how you need with better bodies in there. Also, Michael Parsons already said, man, Thompson's a dog.
Yes.
And ballers know ballers. So I just feel like we're not putting enough respect on the offensive line. Don't get me wrong. We haven't had an opportunity to really see them enough to dawn. That's
the whole thing right there. I get what you're saying. On paper,
you know what I'm saying?
They badass on paper. I just to use the word concerned, Elijah, would be too strong. But help me out if you can here. My eyebrow is raised, is what I would say, because I don't know if they have enough time on task together.
Yeah,
to go up against this front. That's all I'm saying. Not that they're going to get blown out of the water. Not that they're going to get completely overmanned. I think there's too much talent for that, like you're alluding to. But because it is week one, and because this team is treated, August like it doesn't matter necessarily, so to speak, I wonder if they'll have to face some consequences for that.
Yeah. So I'm just curious to see. I'm really concerned more, or where I'm looking at is the guard play. If the tackles are able to isolate and say, from our athleticism and our athletic quarterback, we're not going to be as stressed out as an average line. I'm saying if my man Coleman going in that guard, and if we can get solid inside play to stay strong, because if guys have problems on the inside with Dexter and some other situations, then we can the pressure can start coming from other ways. So we're gonna have to pick. If we could be strong and pick our poison, we gotta have something.
Hey, look, I'll tell you this about Big BC, Elijah. Slim he's a military brat. I'm gonna just
he's
say
ready
that.
to play the last preseason game. He said, "Coach, put me in.
Put me in there now."
Game. He said he was on the team. He said, "I'm ready to rock."
Come on, that's why we need a bunch of dudes with that mentality. I appreciate you as always, Elijah. Enjoy the rest of your night, brother. I'm glad Elijah brought up BC. BC, I'm referring to Brandon Coleman. He is first team all badass, and he's quiet, mild mannered young man. He's the nicest dude in the world, bro. Like honestly, like. Even dating back to when he was drafted, me and Chris Russell had him on the program like less than a week after. Just a sense of gratitude just to be in the spot. And then I mentioned he's a military brat. This is a kid that's lived in Germany. This is a kid that's moved all across the globe. He didn't even really start playing football until high school, y'all. BC wanted to be a hooper. So kicking him inside the guard with that raw, brute strength and the athleticism that he has, boy, he just got to stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, Brandon Coleman's got a chance to be a total all-pro, Pro Bowl type of guard, man, early on in his career, because I think he's that legit. Final hour of power coming your way next here on this Wednesday night edition of Overtime. We'll take a quick time out. When we come back, we're going to switch gears totally. Massive, massive story going on in the NBA with the Clippers allegedly bypassing the salary cap, circumventing the salary cap by paying $28 million to Kawhi Leonard for a, quote, no-show job. The lead writer for The Athletic covering the Clippers is going to join us next to give us the latest on this blockbuster news out of the NBA. That's next. Final hour of power here on this Wednesday night edition of Overtime. You're tapped in. The youngest in Charles, Lynnell Willingham, taking you up to 10 o'clock right now. We go out to the Rude Guest Hotline. Rude, the most reliable heating and air conditioning products in the DMV. So we find our pal Law Murray, who covers the Clippers as well as the NBA for The Athletic. Give him a follow on the X app at Law Murray, the NU. Law, big reason why we wanted to have you on tonight. First of all, good to hear from you as always. Hope the Labor Day weekend treated you well, my friend. I know you are hard at work, so we won't keep you long. Can you get our D.C. audience hip to the Shams bomb that was dropped earlier this afternoon, or I guess the Pablo Torre bomb that was dropped earlier this afternoon, basically alleging that the Clippers tried to circumvent the salary cap to appease Kawhi Leonard and his uncle. Can you give us the details?
Yeah, I mean, long story short, the Clippers had a founding sponsor for the new arena back in 2021, Aspiration. I remember Media Day where they were introducing one of the founders to Aspiration next to Steve Ballmer, and it sounded like they were going to be part of what the Clippers were trying to do with this new arena, you know, like have a sense of sustainability, and that sounds great on its surface. The company was not something that was going to be sustainable itself, ironically. They wound up, their partnership with the Clippers actually ended before the Clippers even got into it, though. Like 2021, it was, look at here, Aspiration. By 2023, Aspiration was nowhere to be found, right? So there's that part of it. What we did not know, and what Pablo shed light on in a very bright way, is that Kawhi Leonard had a sponsorship deal, and the details of the sponsorship deal, while Aspiration was struggling, Kawhi was getting paid. So getting that money, you know what I'm saying? You know, someone put it to me, Halle Berry, hallelujah, right?
For sure.
I mean, yeah. Some of y'all know where that comes from. So, long story short, because this is a long and incomplete story as it stands today, there's a paper trail, and you're really in a situation where you're trying, if you're in the NBA, you have to go and to a place you've been before, and that's investigating the Clippers on a Kawhi Leonard-related subject, and to see if rules were broken as it related to Kawhi Leonard's endeavors to get paid.
So here's a question real quick, Law, to interject here. This is common practice, though, in the NBA, right, in terms of having, you know, an NBA star with a major team sponsor, right? Like, that's not circumventing the process, is it? Like, that's or the cap, is it? I feel like everybody's got it. It's a way to give some extra cash on top to the player, right?
You could say that, and then at the same time, what you can't have is anything that's going to cross the lines of the collective bargaining agreement.
You can't play in the NBA's face.
Right. Like, you can't secure the services of a player and then say, hey, we'll pay you this much, but we also got some more money coming your way. You know, that's the tricky part here. That's the part where the Clippers are going to have to answer to the league, and the league, in turn, they're going to be asking the Clippers to respond when it comes to the money that Steve Ballmer had to invest in this company, Aspiration. Did that money basically go right back to Kawhi? You know, like right. That's the part where it's like you can't do that. Like a sponsorship deal, those happen all the time. You can go and see every damn professional sports team.
Yes.
They have these things. What's trippy is like Kawhi. What Pablo was trying to investigate is did Kawhi do anything based on the contract that he signed with this company, basically, to say that he was doing any work for this company. And he didn't find anything. And a lot of that checks out when you look at, like, if you want Kawhi Leonard to do anything on social media, especially in the 21-22 season, Kawhi wasn't active on social media at all.
Right.
You're not getting any social media engagement from Kawhi when he doesn't have a Twitter account or an Instagram account, and he doesn't even have, when I say this, it's like there's no content creators. Like, even now, like, Kawhi has an active Instagram account and a less active Twitter account. But even now, like, you can't ask Kawhi about any of that stuff because he's going to say that he's got managers handling those accounts. Kawhi's not on his own playing with that stuff. So that's the part where it's like, this doesn't look like what everybody else might have. Kawhi's not putting his name out there on anything. So now it's like, well, was this a deal that was signed for the sole purpose of paying Kawhi Leonard? That's where the investigation is going to center around.
This is part of the statement from the Clippers. Neither Mr. Ballmer nor the Clippers circumvented the salary cap or engaged in any misconduct related to aspiration. And to play devil's advocate, I guess, real quickly here, Law, if he would have made a singular social media post saying, hey, welcome to aspiration, so on and so forth, I'm Kawhi, if he would have done any activations, I guess is the word that we use with this, would this all kind of be a moot point? Is that the big holdup here? Is that there's no evidence of him holding up his end of the bargain?
I've thought about that, and I don't think it would. I think this company felt like it was DOA. You really look at it. Like, I really thought, I was like, man, what if Kawhi did retweet something from the team with the aspiration tag in it? It's like, dude, Kawhi could have wore some shoddy material that they came up with, one of their hoodies or something, with their print emblazoned across his chest. It would have meant jack squat if this company couldn't even complete the process of going public.
Yeah.
I don't think that would have mattered. Like, I think there was a lot of focus today on, you didn't do any work for them. And, it sounded like, again, according to Pablo's conversation with someone who worked at this company, that while this company was struggling to justify their existence, Uncle Dennis was on the phone letting them know that the check was due at the end of the month. Like,
right, pay up now. So, Law, real quick. Lakers fans, I've seen it on social media already. Lakers fans are kind of coming to the defense of Jeannie Buss and Pelinka, saying, see, this is why we couldn't get him. They ain't had that type of cheese.
I mean, look, if Lakers fans,
I didn't realize Uncle Dennis was calling the shots like this. Is what I'll say, Law. I didn't know Uncle Dennis had that much pull, man.
Well, that's the thing. That's been the story, related to Kawhi going back to his time in San Antonio. That's the thing with the Clippers. And you know what? Like, anyone who didn't sign Kawhi Leonard is going to take a victory lap because they don't have these problems.
Right.
And if you want to do that, then cool. But, like, I will say this. No matter what happens in this investigation, whether the Clippers get, off again, or if they get hammered, 2000 Minnesota Timberwolves style.
Can you reiterate that real quick? Can you tell people the consequences of that? That's the last time something like this has happened, correct? Where a team's been found guilty of it. And what was the consequence for the Timberwolves?
Well, we can only really compare the last time something like this happened if the punishment meets what happened in 2000. In 2000, Joe Smith signed a series of one-year contracts, and it felt like the third time was the crowd. Yeah. The NBA voided Joe Smith's 2000 contract with Minnesota, made him a free agent. Joe goes to Detroit for a year. He must have loved Minnesota because that dude came back to Minnesota in 2001, but not before Glenn Taylor, the then owner, was suspended for a year.
Wow.
Kevin McHale, he took a leave of absence that lasted through the 2000-2001 season. The Timberwolves were docked 5 first-round draft picks in the middle of Kevin Garnett's prime, and they were fined a lot of 2000 money.
Yeah.
So,
5 ones?
Now everyone knows how that crippled the Minnesota Timberwolves then.
Yeah.
But it's not like the Minnesota Timberwolves traded a future MVP and future draft picks before that, and they did that for a marginal player.
Yeah.
If the Clippers were to lose Kawhi Leonard to something like that today, if they have All-Star at Incidome in 2026, if the chairman, Steve Ballmer, is suspended for that, that would be the most awful of public looks in the short and in the long term. Obviously, they're still paying first round picks back. They can't handle another kind of punishment where they're losing assets. And the big thing is this: they're trying to be a major player in free agency. They're trying to look for their next star in the next 1 or 2 off seasons. And so the NBA, again, they can look the other way. And if they do that and the Clippers don't get severely penalized, then you're going to have another uproar on top of the current one that you have. That's the best case scenario for the Clippers, is nothing happens and that everyone is scrutinizing their next big move that they've been planning for the last 2 off seasons at the least.
So, Law, real quick, I know you got to go, but answer me this, bro, because I'm thinking of this in real time. Steve Ballmer was looked at as like an angel, bro. Think about what the Clippers were dealing with before with Donald Sterling, and then Ballmer comes in, resuscitates the franchise. They start winning. Financially. They're doing well. The Intuit Dome just got put up last year. It's probably the best state of the art, indoor arena in North America right now. You think they'll go soft on him potentially because of that, or do you think that doesn't play a factor? And I'm asking you just to be real here, me and you talking homie to homie, because that's how I look at it. It's like, okay, it's Steve.
I don't look at Ballmer as a angel at all. Not to say that he's the opposite.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, and I want to refute it gently, just to make the point that Steve Ballmer has, from day one, been about one thing, and that is winning at all costs. That makes him the true Donald Sterling antithesis, because Donald Sterling would, he was cheap. He always brought the bottom line.
Right.
You know what I mean? He was only concerned about that. He was never concerned about making the players the priority, making his coach the priority, making his franchise the priority. Donald Sterling was just how can I spend as low money as possible in this second biggest market in the country? The owners, I would say the other owners, they love Donald Sterling. The other owners, they've had, look how many owners are envious of Ballmer.
Right. That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Jeannie Buss, number 1 on that list. Yeah. Ballmer had a go at James Dolan, and then Ballmer was like, I'm going to repossess the Keel form. I'm going to get this land one way or the other. Yep. And he got it. That's one big reason why Intuit Dome is here now. I don't think that, there are going to be owners that will want the league to not go ham on Steve Ballmer, simply for the fact that they have their slippery slopes. A term introduced to me by Mark Cuban when the Donald Sterling thing was going down. It's hey, you don't want to look at all of our tapes.
Yeah,
now,
right,
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's why Sterling lasted for as long as he did. So on one hand, it's all these owners are going to want to protect each other, but on the other hand, it's a competition, and they're going to want some kind of accountability here as it relates to the Bombers organization.
Law, we're going to be waiting for the athletic drop like you waiting outside the mall on a Saturday morning for a pair of J's, brother. I can't wait to see what you got for us, giving us the details on what's going on in L.A. We appreciate you as always, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me, Lynnell.
Yes, indeed. That is our pal, Law Murray, one of the absolute best talking all things NBA. We will take a quick time out when we come back in honor of the NFL season getting kicked off tomorrow. We'll get some 2025 NFL predictions next. 1-800-636-1067 is the number. You can tweet at me as well. It is at NELL_BTP. Chris, remind the people my social media handle. It is at NELL_BTP. That's what it is. I want to get to some season predictions here in the National Football League. Chris, if you could be so kind to politely put some bumper music under us here. Get us getting that big game, big Sunday, less than 24 hours away from the game feel as we get. Oh, Lord, yes, we did. Yes, we did. We made it, ladies and gentlemen. Tomorrow, the ring ceremony for the Philadelphia Eagles. They will play host to the Dallas Cowboys, the Micah Parsons-less Dallas Cowboys, I might add. So in lieu of the season getting underway tomorrow, I figured we'd give a couple of predictions here. First and foremost, I want to predict our award winners. We'll go MVP, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, as well as Coach of the Year. Let's get it started. My 2025 MVP for the NFL regular season, I believe the MVP this year is going to be none other than Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts. What do you mean? Yes, I think Jalen Hurts is going to be the 2025 MVP. Here's why. I think teams are going to commit a lot more resources to trying to stop Saquon Barkley, and Jalen Hurts is going to put up some big-time numbers while the Eagles will look good in the win column as well. The dude's been to 2 Super Bowls already in his short time as an NFL starter. I love the way he carries himself. I hate him because I'm a Commanders fan, but I love him as a man, period, because I love the leadership. I love the no-nonsense approach, and he just seems like a dude's dude. So that is my MVP. We'll go from MVP to Offensive Player of the Year. Because the MVP, I think, is going to be a quarterback, I think the Offensive Player of the Year is actually going to be a wide receiver. And the wide receiver that I think is going to be the Offensive Player of the Year for the 2025 season, I think it is going to be none other, and it's going to surprise some people. I think it's going to be Jamar Chase of the Cincinnati Bengals. And I said, it's going to surprise some people. And you are like, what? That's not a surprise. Well, here's why I think it may surprise some of you. I actually do not think that the Bengals are going to make the playoffs in the AFC. I think it's going to be a super tight race. I don't know if 3 teams come out of this AFC North because I have a lot of respect for the South, and I think the West is badass. But I think Jamar Chase, after last year winning the Triple Crown, how do you follow up on that? I think he has another big-time campaign. Was he the Offensive Player of the Year last year? 2024 NFL Offensive Player of the Year was Saquon Barkley. Yeah, I think this year it is going to end up being Jamar Chase. He should have won it last year based off of the numbers. We go from Offensive Player of the Year to Defensive Player of the Year. And my 2025 Defensive Player of the Year, to say it's going to surprise you maybe is a stretch, but I think this young man's about to have an unworldly season. My 2025 Defensive Player of the Year is going to be Will Anderson of the Houston Texans. I think he is ready to go completely rogue on the National Football League. I am a huge fan of this cat going into year 3 out of Alabama, 6'4", 250, former number 3 overall pick. I think he puts it all together during the 2025 campaign. Last year, if you're looking at Will Anderson, 11 sacks and got it done. Time in, time out for the Houston Texans. I'm a big fan of this young man, and I'm a big fan of the Texans as well. They're one of my sleepers in the AFC. From Defensive Player of the Year to Offensive Rookie of the Year. And this is going to be interesting. My Offensive Rookie of the Year, I think, is going to be Omarion Hampton of the LA Chargers. I think the Chargers are going to beat people up offensively, and I think Omarion Hampton is going to bring an element to that offense, a level of physicality to that offense that they've been missing. I know they're going to be without Rashawn Slater, so people have questions about the offensive line. I think Omarion Hampton is the goods, point blank, period. He is my Offensive Rookie of the Year for 2025. My Defensive Rookie of the Year for 2005. This is such low-hanging fruit that I feel bad for even choosing the kid. It's going to be Abdul Carter. I expect him to have a massive campaign, and I think he is a cat that routinely, throughout camp, got recognition, praise from the beat writers, the people that were there every day. He's got to prove it. He's got to prove it. My NFL Coach of the Year for the 2025 season, I think, is going to be Sean Payton, head coach of the Denver Broncos. I think Denver is – look, Kansas City's won the AFC West every year that Pat Mahomes has been a starter in the NFL. I don't know if that stops this year, but I do think Denver is going to be that team in the AFC, that thorn in the side for the Kansas City Chiefs. And then my Super Bowl prediction for you. We'll go big here on our prediction segment. I think the 2025 Super Bowl is going to be between, I think it's going to be the Texans taking on the Green Bay Packers. There you have it. My 2025 NFL predictions here on Overtime. We will take a quick timeout. When we come back, ready to hear from our pal, Charles Davis, NFL on CBS analyst. He'll be on the call Sunday with Andrew Catalon and Jason McCourty calling Colts and Dolphins. He'll join us next. Welcome back. You're tapped in to the youngest in Charles, Lynnell Willingham. Right now, we go to the guest hotline where we find one of my absolute favorites, NFL analyst for CBS as well as the NFL Network. You can actually hear him this weekend with Jason McCourty and Andrew Catalon calling Dolphins and Colts on Sunday. Our guy Charles Davis, kind enough to give us a couple of moments. Let's start with Thursday. The big difference in Thursday's contest, CD, no Micah Parsons for the Dallas Cowboys. Your first blush reaction when that news came across your ticker last Thursday?
I was surprised. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I had the crystal ball and saw the future. I'm not. I was actually doing Sirius XM radio that day.
Wow.
And opined that that Thursday, Micah Parsons would be in a Cowboys uniform and would be rushing the passer in Philadelphia. I thought they'd get something done. I thought that he would play that Thursday. We've seen these holdouts, hold-ins, hold-whatevers, and people show up and play more times than they don't.
Right.
Okay? So I thought that's where we were going. In fact, had on a guest that day, a beat writer for the Cowboys.
Wow.
And asked him about I said, hey, I think he's going to play. What do you think? You're there every day.
Right.
And he said, I co-signed with you 70%. He was 70% in the camp that he would be a Cowboy. So I'm not saying that to justify where my stance was.
Right.
I'm saying it, Lynnell, because I do believe there was a strong sense across the league that he would somehow remain a Cowboy.
Yeah.
You mean we're not in the who in this world wants to give away that kind of talent? I know you get draft picks back, et cetera, but for the most part, you want him to play for you for the
forever.
most part. and so when that happened, that's why I say, and I'll come back to this. I better just speak for myself. It was a surprise.
Yeah.
I don't think many people saw it coming. That's the best way I can put it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it felt like, CD, it happened so quick. You got the Schefter report from ESPN that morning that, okay, now they're listening for the first time.
Yeah, I heard that too. Did that really rattle you when you heard it?
So,
when I heard it, I
rolled my eyes at it. I did the same thing you probably did. Rolled my eyes at it and said, okay, Schefter.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly. And then a couple hours later, well, before even that, Michael Irvin goes on NFL Live and guarantees it. So
and he's pretty close to the program.
Well, definitely.
If you watch a documentary, you know he's pretty close to the program. But for me, with Adam, I never doubt what Adam is giving me. Adam's a colleague of mine, all right? And we used to work together, and I think he's as good as there's ever been, right? But when I hear they're now willing to listen, I just felt like that was just much more part of the overall back and forth. That's what I thought.
I took it the same way.
Okay, Mike, in your camp, guess what? We're listening to other people now. Are you sure? That's what I took it as.
Yeah.
Adam, of course, had it detailed and nailed. But I was surprised. I really was surprised that it happened, because if you had told me it would have happened in March, Lynnell, and the Cowboys now got the 2 1s to parlay and deal with, you would have had me a little bit more than I thought they were going to do it there. And I was surprised they still got the 1s.
Well, that was my thing, Charles. So clearly, so it sounds like you disagree with what I'm about to say here. I was stunned at the compensation, Charles. I was like, this is a guy. To me, and obviously we were talking about it here locally in D.C. because it's relevant. These are our rivals. And we were like, man, I said I'd give up 4 1s for Micah. He's that type of player.
He's that good. He is that good. But I just feel like Lynnell in recent years, I just had that talk with someone 2 days prior. I said, how many times do you see a blockbuster trade in the NFL, and then you look at the compensation and go, I thought they would have gotten more.
Yeah,
and that's why the 2 1s surprised me that it was 2 1s. I mean, you're right. Like, as great a player as Parsons, I think other people were like, I can give up more than that. But in this league, it doesn't feel like they're going for the same rate you would have thought before. We're seeing starting quarterbacks go to other teams, and you're not seeing 2 1s.
Yeah, very true. It's incredible, because that's kind of what I spent a lot of Friday talking about, was the compensation. And are you kidding me? If it only took 2 firsts, then why wasn't everybody in on this? Micah dealing with a little bit of a back. We'll see if he actually suits up on Sunday, but I think he'll play too. He's a competitor.
Play. I mean, I noticed they put that out there today, that he might need a little help getting ready.
I like the way you put that, CD. A little help. Look, sometimes we all need a little help. Look.
And then I'm watching the news and the video, and there he is at camp.
Looks good.
Packers, and he's lifting that sled like, you know.
And see, you've seen that up close in person like I have. You could tell how someone's feeling based on how someone jolts that one man sled, and yeah.
And Lynnell, to do that, you have to get down like you're right. You're going almost into a squat position, and there's the back helping support that, and he lifted that sled up to the heavens.
Look rejuvenated.
He'll be wearing Curly Lambeau's number, and he will be announced as a starter. And what a heck of an opener for my colleagues at CBS, because it is, they've got that ball game.
Yeah. What do you?
Detroit at Green Bay. How great is that for an opener from my colleagues?
Couldn't have scripted it up any better.
No, they got to be thrilled for that one. Absolutely thrilled. But I'll just leave it with this: with the Parsons deal, compensation notwithstanding, all that other stuff. There is a camp of, hey, if Dallas uses the compensation right, this helps them, et cetera. And I agree with all of that. But we're not talking about a 32-year-old Micah Parsons. Does he have, one more run in him? We're talking about Micah Parsons truly in his prime.
Yeah. Second contract.
Yes. And Green Bay, let's be honest about it. That was one of the quietest 11-6s last year because they were in division with Detroit, who won 15, right? Yeah. And Minnesota won 14. But all three made the playoffs. Even before the Parsons deal, tell me if I'm wrong, please, sir. Have you not heard plenty of chatter that many people expect Green Bay to possibly win that division this year? To maybe people are picking them to win the division this year. This was before Parsons.
I've heard it. They got a good offensive line. They're good on both sides of the trenches. Is what I like about them.
To me, they need Jordan Love, who I think is a very good player, to be that same guy we see the second half of seasons. Right out of the gate.
Right.
If they get that, boy, that NFC North we thought was rough before.
Yeah.
I mean, they're Chicago thinking they can make games. Yeah. And look what you got to deal with for this year. I'm not saying that they can't with Ben Johnson and crew. All I'm saying is this is a bad division that you're thinking I got to make gains in.
Definitely, and I know our listening audience here locally isn't going to like this. We mentioned this in the tail end of the show on Friday. We were, started our division preview series, CD.
Yeah.
And, dude, I don't know if it's ever happened, and you can speak to this better than I am as you're, more of a historian of the league. Has all four teams ever made the playoffs out of one division? Because the North has got that type of talent.
They've got that type of talent. I feel like it's happened, but I can't say when. It's like one of those things where you're sitting around somebody and somebody said, well, in 1931, it's like, I don't know. Yeah. I can't say. I feel like 3 is the max, especially where we are with divisions nowadays. Maybe there was at one point prior to. But it was funny watching that Cowboys doc to be reminded.
Yeah.
The Arizona Cardinals were once the Phoenix Cardinals, and they were in the NFC East.
Yep.
The New Orleans Saints were in the NFC West.
There's been some shuffling. There's definitely
shuffling around during that time frame. So anything, as they say, is possible.
For sure. Joined right now by our pal Charles Davis, NFL analyst for CBS as well as the NFL Network. You can check him out this weekend alongside Jason McCourty and Andrew Catalan calling Colts and Dolphins, getting started with an AFC matchup over on CBS. I want to keep things in the AFC, Charles, if you don't mind, and ask you about one of the teams that you're going to be talking about this weekend, the Miami Dolphins. And I believe I asked you about them earlier this offseason.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with Chris Broussard. He's got a very interesting way to describe the Dolphins last year. He described them as breakdancers, CD, meaning that they're kind of missing that element of toughness. The seats are getting warm for Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel up there in Miami. What type of season are you expecting out of them, and is there a chance that they can maybe surprise some people in the AFC? Because I like their pass rush, but they're question marks.
Yeah. Lynnell, I think that, when we spent the time in the offseason, there was very much a narrative that the division is Buffalo and Chase, which I totally co-sign on that. Okay? But now you throw the other 3 teams in the hopper, and all of them can kind of make a case that maybe we're the number 2 team in this division. Things have to play out, obviously. Certain things have to happen. but the Jets feel good under new management, right, with Aaron Glenn and Justin Fields as their quarterback. New England feels like they were starting to get better last year. Now with the addition of Vrabel and winning the offseason with free agency and a good draft and Drake May's second year, they feel pretty good about where they're going, even though they're going to play a lot of youngsters. They're going to be really, really young, but talented. And then, of course, we're talking about the Dolphins. I felt like the narrative was those three could fight it out, but if you ask most people, they felt like the Dolphins were descending, while others might be ascending. I've watched this team preseason. I'm just starting to get ready for the game. I'm looking over things. I think their front line talent's pretty good.
Yeah.
Depth, I think, is going to be an issue for them in certain places. But all in all, their front line guys are pretty darn good. If people want to talk about their toughness, and I try to stay out of the toughness fight with people.
You hurt some feelings with that.
You hurt your feelings, and anyone who throws that bad boy on and goes out and plays in that league, there's an element of toughness that most of us do not have. But their ability to win games against good football teams, I don't think we have any choice but to discuss that. And that's been their issue. That's been their Achilles heel. When they go up against the teams that become factors in the playoffs and factors down the stretch, they have not come out positively. And that has to change for them to make the moves they want to make, because they've retooled their offensive line, revamped it. They feel better about where they're going, even though they've lost Teron Armstead, who's a tremendous player. Yeah. They like the second-year Paul at left tackle. They like him as a player. They can be as explosive as ever, and that means they've got to get back to form and throwing the football around, and that means Tua, that means Jalen Waddle, that means Tyreek Hill. Can Darren Waller come back and be the Darren Waller we saw that was a Pro Bowler after sitting out for the last year and a half, whatever it is, at tight end? Because if he's that athlete, Lynnell,
things
really jump up for them, right? But the big thing to me is they have to run the ball better. And I know it sounds like football 101 and the people are going to sleep immediately, but they were fully 10 to 12 yards behind the league average last year.
Which is crazy because when they first got there, that's what they leaned on.
They did, and they have people, but didn't get the year out of Jalen Wright they expected. He's hurt right now. I don't think he'll be ready to go week one. Achane is back after missing time during preseason. They expect him to go week one. But Ollie Gordon really showed well. That was the Ollie Gordon we saw at Oklahoma State 2023 who won the Doak Walker Award. Yeah. And defensively, you mentioned the pass rushers. Yeah. I mean, my goodness, if everyone's healthy and ready to go, Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, Chop Robinson, and then Chris Greer, who gets jumped on a lot. But how about him going out and getting Matthew Judon?
Quietly, right?
Four legit pass rushers off the edge. The addition of Kenneth Grant inside. Mm-hmm. The fifth-round pick, Jordan Phillips, has played really well in preseason. Another guy inside of Great Rebel, Zach Sealer's played well for them.
A couple of Terps out there.
Hey, listen, those they sent them some playing Terps now. There's no doubt about it. But they've got players where the question mark is going to be until proven different is the secondary.
Yeah.
Because, you don't lose guys like they lost out of the secondary and expect to just automatically be better.
Yeah.
But they've got players, and I want to see Jason Marshall, who's going to start at the nickel, it looks like. They ended up cutting Mike Hilton, who's expected to play nickel for them. If he plays nickel to the ability they expect, and he's never played it before, can they hold up on the back end? Because I really like their front seven on defense.
Look, I got a little bit of a soft spot for the Dolphins CD. Chop is a DMV guy, was my ball boy at Montgomery Village Little League. Yep, I played with his older brother. He was our ball boy. Dad coached us, so I definitely know a little bit about Chop Robinson. Definitely root for him. Yes, from a young age, man.
In the second half of his rookie year,
that get off is
That's exactly why he was drafted where he was drafted. Exactly what you're looking for. He is a double-digit sack guy, just waiting to happen.
Yeah, totally agree. Charles, one team in the AFC that I've kind of got the hots for and I think could make a deep run here if they can get out of their division, that is the Denver Broncos. But before we get into Denver individually, I want to jump around here. Of the sophomore quarterbacks, McCarthy, Penix, Daniels, Drake May, Caleb, I know I'm probably missing someone because there was so damn many drafted in that first round. Who do you think has the best team success in 2025?
Ooh, best team? Let's go through them. Jaden Daniels has that opportunity.
Yes.
This is a good football team that Washington has in a division that, is Philadelphia. but there's no one else in that division that you would shy away from, and they're not going to shy away from Philadelphia. Everybody's going to take their shots at the champs.
Right.
Okay, you know that. But right now, I think they're the second best team in the division, one of the better teams in the NFC. I like what they did, and look, most people are talking about, wow, look what Adam Peters did this year. He really went. I think he did that last year for Marshawn Lattimore in the middle of the season. Okay,
he's aggressive.
He has not been shy from the moment he hit town. All right, so Daniels is there. I really think Drake May is on the rise. Yeah. I thought I had him late last year. Our crew had him in Buffalo.
Wow.
Late, nasty,
cold.
And he played well enough that they scared the heck out of Buffalo, and Buffalo escaped with a win that day. I think they're going to get better, but as I mentioned before, they're really, really young. Bo Nix and crew, they were a year ahead of schedule as far as I was concerned with Denver, and now I think they're here to stay, and love that. Look, him going to Denver under Sean Payton with central casting.
Yes.
And in this case, the remake's pretty good. It's not Breeze, but it's a really good facsimile.
I agree.
You have that. McCarthy, we have to find out because he didn't play at all last year. Penix in Atlanta. Terry Fontenot, their GM, he said we're going for it with the going back and getting James Pierce in the first round. They're going to try and chase him down.
What was your thoughts on him real quick, CD?
Who, Penix?
Pierce, because I know you're a Vol guy.
Pierce, I love the athletic ability, but I was firmly convinced from everyone I talked to that he was going to fall to the second round.
Wow. Okay.
People were really leery about, after a while it gets old, but you really can't detail everything that you know because in a lot of cases it's not fair.
Right. Because everyone's got something. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And let the kid prove differently, please.
Right.
But there are a lot of people who are leery about, I don't know about him off the, I don't know about this, I don't know about that. Yeah. Well, haven't heard a peep about that at all in Atlanta.
And that's a good place for him to go. Ra's not going to look.
Real good place.
Yeah, Ra's a good guy to get the most out of somebody.
And I think that's a good one for him. So back to your original question, most success, I think Denver's going to push at it. I do think Jaden Daniels is going to do it again. I don't expect Minnesota to fall into an abyss, though, with J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
I think people are like, oh, God, and look, they didn't expect Darnold to be good.
Right.
Okay? That's a good team that's built around him, and he's been with the team for 2 years. This is going to be a second year with the team. He did so many things behind the scenes to prepare for this year. You and I both know there's nothing like playing and it being live, but his preparation, if people knew everything that went on in terms of prep and how they did things, they treated him like a starting quarterback even when he wasn't playing.
Which is lovely to hear that, yeah.
Tests, reviews, meetings one-on-one with Kevin O'Connell to go over game plan. What do you like? What don't you like? Why do you like this? What do you want to do that? How they tailored his practice schedule to have him work. All those things to try and have him ready for this moment, which will begin on Monday night in Chicago.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. I don't think they fall off the cliff. And, in fact, Kevin O'Connell, that team that went 7-10 2 years ago was his best coaching job. That was 5 different quarterbacks.
Yeah, it just figured it out.
And, by the way, the other 2 years he's been the head coach, they've won 13 and 14 games. Think about that. He won 13 his first year, 7 his second because, things regressed with quarterbacks, et cetera. And then came back last year with a quarterback that no one really thought was
That's going to do it here for this Wednesday night edition of Overtime. If you want to keep the conversation going with me on social media, it is at NELL_BTP. I'm back with you tomorrow, 4 to 7 on our sister station, the Team 980, for the Burgundy and Gold Today.